Hello adventurers, this is Craddock, and today we'll be discussing Primal Ancients, and why I think the idea behind them is good for Diablo 3. So first of all, forget what you've seen in the PTR, whatever you've seen on the internet so far, just forget that. Now think about what it is about Diablo that you love the most. When I think Diablo, I think items, I think itemization, I think getting that rare drop that no one else, has seen in a million years, that only I can have. That's what I want to see. That Zod rune, that, ancient legendary compass rose with perfectly rolled stats. That's what I want to see, So, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this idea of primals and what they can do for the game. Now that we've extrapolated our goal, we know what we want Primal Ancients to achieve with the game, we can move on to talking about some of the current issues as seen with the PTR and how those affect the game and how we think those should be changed to maybe improve upon them. Some of the biggest complaints I've seen and read on the forums involve the fact that Primal Ancients are just too rare. They're too random. There's too much luck involved in getting the perfect Primal Ancient that you would need to, outfit your character, your entire character. The concept is just immense how long it would take to outfit an entire character with Primal Ancients. But, nevertheless, I think there are some solutions that I'll go into later that can address this. Now, another issue that was mentioned, and it's a big one, is that Primal Ancients don't give that big of a bonus when you consider experience. Paragon. You compare them to Paragon, you can farm up certain players who have more time to play can farm up extra Paragon and get the same or better power level for their character than the Primal Ancients would give. And this brings up a good point. What type of player is typically going to be farming up Primal Ancients or looking to get Primal Ancients? And the answer is, well, everyone, because they're going to be the best type of item in that game at that point. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I could log into the game, create a seasonal character, right off the bat I get a Primal Ancient. Well, I got lucky, But typically, you will have to spend quite a bit of time, because of the low drop chance, to even get in the realm of possibility of getting a full Primal Ancient set. But that's exciting. I mean, hunting for loot at the end game, with only like a 1% drop chance to get a Primal would be amazing to me, as opposed to what's currently going on in the game, or and has been for many, many years. Now to circle back to who is going to be typically like shooting for primals. Well, it's going to be players that are fully geared ancient, because I mean, at that point you may have found a few primals for your set, but that's what you're going to be looking for after that. And these players, to get a full ancient set isn't small. It still takes quite a bit of time to, or at least some time in the game, to build up a full ancient set with pretty good stats. And the biggest problem, once you get to that point, once you get to that level where you've geared out your character, you've got all spec'd up, you're ready to go, you start, doing the higher tiers and all that, is that the only way to truly increase your character's power is by gaining Paragon points. Gaining experience points is currently the end game scenario in what you shoot for. And there's a video out there by Zanji, Bear, and Trooper, and I'm going to link it in the description. You should check it out. Watch it, please. It explains very well why this is negative for many different reasons for the community, negative for play, negative for life. I mean, they were talking even of how it's hard sometimes to find a group, to coordinate group, to even eat. So you should definitely check it out. Their main suggestion, and one that I am fully behind, is that to make the idea that is Primal Ancients, to make Primal Ancients worthwhile, to make them worthy, to make them really impactful, Paragon, at least for seasons, will need to be capped. It will need to be restricted to some maximum level that players cannot go beyond for experience. Another point that they bring up that is very good in my opinion is that the Diablo 3 development team does not have many cycles. They're a skeleton crew, they only have a few enhancements that they can do, a few things that they can do. So the suggestions that we should put forth to them, they should be restricted in that they're easy to implement and quick to implement, but yet still effective. So when you're going about thinking for alternatives and suggesting these, definitely keep this in mind. I'm not saying that grand ideas for change in Diablo wouldn't be good to give them in the long run, but what I'm saying is that short term, if you want to see change with Primal Agent specifically, we should keep our suggestions to a certain limit. Now, one of the big ideas that's being thrown around is, should you be able to use the cube with Primal Agents? And my answer is, my opinion is yes, we should. But there is one big caveat. The resource that is used for any recipe that is either upgrading to a Primal Agent or re-rolling a Primal Agent item must include Primal Souls. The resource that doesn't exist in the game yet that you would get from disenchanting or sharding a Primal Agent item. And this is done to address the problem that we were mentioning earlier in the beginning of this talk, is that the Primal Ancients are going to be very random, very too rare almost when you consider rolling the affixes. So having those cube recipes will give you methods of either crafting the Primal Ancient upgrading the Primal Ancient that you haven't been able to find for quite a while, or re-rolling a Primal Ancient that you found and you want better stats on. And the number of Primal Souls that would be required for these recipes would have to be pretty high to make them not so available. It wouldn't be something like the upgrade legendary or re-roll legendary that we're doing almost every day. This would be something special that we only do once in a while because of the sheer expensive cost of the recipe itself. And this would make it so that players who have been unlucky and haven't found the Primal Legendary that they want, or haven't found the affixes that they want on a Primal Legendary, would have a means to get that. And that's all that would be required. All that would be required. The Paragon Cap, the keeping mat recipes to souls, Primal Souls, and the opportunity to upgrade and reroll Primal Ancients at high cost. That's all it would take, and it would make Diablo 3 so great again to have that item focus at the end game. Anyway, let's move on now to a few more ideas that I found on the forums, online, and these mostly revolve around the concept of reducing the randomness, reducing the RNG that would be associated with Primal Ancients. So, first idea, ability to re-roll up to 2 affixes, or possibly more, on a Primal Ancient item at the Mystic. So this would allow you to, would ensure that when you get a Primal Ancient weapon, for example, you'd be able to re-roll the perfect range of affix that you would want, the max range on that weapon. Idea number 2, add a cube recipe that requires a high amount or significant amount of forgotten souls, but gives you either a random primal ancient item for your class or a primal soul. So this could be some sort of conversion from forgotten souls into primal souls, which you could then use the other cube recipes to either reroll other primal ancients or get the primal ancient of your choosing. This would really be in place for people who hadn't been extremely unlucky, hadn't found whatever they need. This recipe I could see assisting them if they've spent a lot of game time and gotten a lot of forgotten souls. It's like a backstop to make sure that they at least get a primal ancient. Idea number 3, this one from Al Kaiser. His idea was primal ancient should be special in that they roll higher affixes on the items. So for example, on a weapon, instead of cooldown reduction at 10%, you get cooldown reduction at 12 maybe. Or maybe instead of 6% crit hit chance on ring, you get 7% on a primal ancient max, and so on and so forth. Idea number 4, limit affix ranges and legendary effect ranges on primal ancient items to the top 50% of that range. So for example, on an amulet, a typical amulet will roll 50% to 100% crit hit damage if you roll that affix. But if you roll a primal ancient with this idea, it would roll instead 75 to 100%, thereby giving you a higher chance of getting a higher crit hit damage roll on your primal ancient item. So what does this mean for you, and how can you help out? You can help out by going to the Blizzard forums. I'll put a link in the description. There is a current topic that Blizzard is watching for feedback on primal ancients, and they're considering ideas. So if you have any ideas, whether they're in line with what I'm thinking or possibly, maybe a little bit different, go ahead and submit them, and hopefully they'll get heard. As always, this has been Craddock, and have a good day.